And it is preparing to live stream us right now. It's going through the little red line. Go, 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 go. Okay, we're live and we're streaming.
Okay, excellent. Call this meeting to order. All commissioners are present. We have a quorum, and we will begin with our, oh, I told you I had to pull that back up. Our regularly planned meeting for June 24th. First, we've called to order, and the first thing is our Pledge of Allegiance. Is there a volunteer with us who would like to lead us in the pledge? And I'd like to thank Commissioner Price, who once again graciously has provided a flag in his Zoom background. You're awesome, Commissioner Price. Thank you for that.
Welcome.
Do we have a volunteer who'd like to lead us in the pledge?
Why don't you lead us, Madam Chair?
I will. All right. Hands over your hearts. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under
Under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
liberty
with
and
liberty and
justice
justice for all.
All right. Thank you. And moving along with our agenda, minutes of our previous meeting. Do we have any comments, discussions, additions or deletions from those minutes? Has everyone had a chance to take a look at those? It looks like Betty, thank you for getting those to us in a very timely manner. I appreciate that once again.
Yeah, I actually did have one
Okay.
adjustment, and I apologize, Betty, for not getting this to you earlier. I was actually watching the video of our last meeting earlier today, and I believe that the designation of the the election officials, appointment of election officials. I believe I'm the one that made the motion, and Commissioner Starr seconded it. I know that doesn't matter per se, but just to make sure it's accurate and stays in line with our video, those kind of got switched around.
Okay, I will fix that.
But please
That's
check
been
again.
good.
Please check again just to make sure that that's the case. But
Are
I
you
did
talking
watch,
about the election officials?
yes, the
election-
elected officials.
So at first, if I remember correctly, you said poll workers, and then I did a motion for election officials.
Ah, okay.
I think that's what happened. If
Okay.
I recall correctly.
Well, Betty, if you just double check that, that would be
That'd
great.
be- Yeah, thank you.
We can do that. Okay, with Betty checking on that one issue of the designation of our officials, any other additions, deletions, or changes or discussion?
No,
No,
none for me.
Okay, I would entertain a motion at this time.
Okay, I move to approve the minutes from the June 19th, 2020 meeting, with Betty taking a look at the one issue that we mentioned previously, and just making sure that that's correct.
Okay. All those in favor? Do we have a second?
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. On to our item of business, and there's going to be an additional item of business that we got notification from Secretary of State that we also will take care of. But first, logic and accuracy testing. Mr. Poe, or I guess we have Amanda with us, whoever it is, it's like to walk us through our LNA testing.
I'll just go ahead and take it. We did LNA testing yesterday. We did a total of 4 M100s, 2 for election day, 2 backups, as well as I believe it was 9 Ivotronics, 3 for early voting, 2 as backups for early voting, 2 for election day, and 2 additional backups.
Okay. You sent us a copy of that LNA little report there. It looked like everything was in order. Any anomalies or anything of noteworthy that we need to know about that, of that testing?
Amanda?
No, there was not. Everything went great.
Perfect. I like it. All right, commissioners, any discussion? Or I'm happy to entertain a motion if there is none.
I make a motion to approve the logic and accuracy testing certification for the 7/7/2020 Jacksonville special election runoff.
Do we
Second.
have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. And the next item of business that we're going to discuss tonight, we received an email from the Secretary of State's office about our unopposed candidates for the November general. Mr. Poe, would you like to lead us through that? Tell us what happened. Why is this a surprise item on the agenda? And we'll take care of that certification. So, Mr. Poe.
Okay, well, we got an email, or actually the commissioners received an email from the Secretary of State's office. Commissioner Price forwarded it to me. After I checked into the matter, I discovered that we had not, in fact, filed a separate unopposed certification for the primary. So, having looked through the minutes, having looked through our documents, like I previously believed that was the case. However, it was not. So, therefore, I have brought this before you today for approval.
Okay. Any discussion, or do we need to have the commissioners? Everyone had a chance to take a look at that list? Unopposed?
I move to certify the, I guess the unopposed candidates list from the March 3rd preferential primary nonpartisan general election.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And Brian, you're still allowed to use our stamp since we are remote.
Thank you so much. I was actually about to ask about that.
Still
Yes, please.
authorized. We're gonna. Okay, so going through our agenda, I see Mr. Poe sent an email yesterday. There's a FOIA about our COVID plans. And I know that is something that we have discussed, and I believe is going to be on, we are going to talk about it on at our next meeting. Was going to be agenda. Is that, if my memory serves right, we were going to add that to the agenda for the runoff, the evening of the runoff?
That is correct. We were going to discuss our COVID in-person voting mitigation, as well as FT plans at the July 7th meeting.
Okay. And I see that the FOIA request was made by, looks like the DIMGAS, and they just wanted a kind of a copy of documentation that we had, and we did have a draft, but we have not finalized anything at this time. Just wanted to make sure that was on the record here, so we knew it was going, everyone knows what's going on. Commissioners, do you have any
Dr.
discussion?
Poe, before you submitted that to the FOIA request, did you put draft on that document?
I haven't sent it yet. I was waiting to see what you all said.
Well,
Okay.
under FOIA, it's public record, so
Yes.
it just
And
needs to have draft or working draft, or, something on there that makes sure that that's not shared as an actual policy.
Yes, ma'am. It has a draft watermark on it.
Great, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Brian.
So, good deal. So, go ahead and share the public information with the public. I don't have any, I can't imagine any concerns with sharing our draft. Commissioners, is there any discussion about that or anything further?
No, I do want to thank Commissioner Starr, though, for all her work when looking over that draft and supplying all her recommendations and edits. So thank you for being proactive, Commissioner Starr, and having that all done well in advance of this FOIA request we got. So we actually do have a very strong draft plan in place. So thank you
Well,
for that.
thank you. If I knew it was going to be FOIA, I definitely probably would have made it cleaner.
Well, it is a draft, so don't know that it's a draft.
Yeah.
Obviously, COVID-19, our situation is evolving every day. You know, our plan will have to evolve to keep up with it. So,
All right. Thank you.
So I'm going to echo that sentiment. Commissioner Starr really is a star of the commission. I just want in both ways. So thank you for that. It's made it very easy to go through, and so I think our discussion is going to be very fruitful since we have something really good to look at. Thank you again.
I can see Amanda over there smirking at me. Thank y'all.
So, question, is this something that our meetings are open to the public, but do we want to hold, solicit public input? Do you want to have a, before we finalize these rules? I know we're going to discuss this more, but just I want you to think about that for our next meeting. If there's maybe any additional eyes we want to get feedback from.
Well, Chair Gomez, I'm sorry.
The state board. Yes, go ahead.
If we're discussing at the next meeting, there is something on the agenda that says public comment, and you email to give public comment. It might be good to let the Democrat Gazette know that we are discussing the draft, and that if they want to have public comment, that would be the time to do so. And that way we can take those comments back and, you know, kind of look at them and digest them and see what we need to update or change.
Absolutely.
I agree with Commissioner Starr, and I think that would be great to have those comments, like she said, in writing, so then we can really take them and again digest them and plug them into our draft plan.
So should we actively solicit comments? Should we maybe have a press release saying where this is, you know, this is our more than our normal meeting? I mean, we have those that we send out, but do we want to separately state where would love to hear comments from the public? Or I just want to make sure we get we make the best decision for the people of Pulaski County, and that, you know, all stakeholders are able to participate, and you know, we want to make sure that we're doing what's best for the people.
I do think that I want to have public comments for all meetings. So
yeah, I do too.
If we're going to do a press release, I would like to see a press release that is, you know, just FYI, in our next meeting, this is one of the agenda items, and this would be the time for public comment. But also, every meeting that we're doing while we're, you know, remote is also, you can do public comment, and we invite you to you know, get on our YouTube site and tune in and submit your public comment so that we can give you feedback after those meetings as well.
100% agree. Jody, are you still with us? I think I see you here.
Yes, I am here.
Well, would we be able to push out in our social media, and then Director Poe is also with us. Let's do that. Let's kind of have some direct posts.
And that's a specific, tell me again exactly what you'd like, and we'll make that happen as far as the social media goes.
Commissioner Starr.
I'm gonna have to write it out, and then I'll send it to you.
That sounds great.
You're not going to my spam folder anymore, so we're
Okay, good. Excellent.
All right.
I have to say, I think I agree with the other two commissioners. I think that's a great idea. You know, there's a lot of fear right now and a lot of misinformation because of what's going on in Kentucky and other states. So I think the more we can kind of get ahead of the problem and let people know that, yes, we have a draft plan, we're thinking about November, and we are happy to hear whatever concerns or ideas they may have so we can incorporate that into our plan. I think that's a great way to combat that misinformation and also get public buy-in with our plans. They know that they were part of the creation of it.
That kind of triggered another thought. And Director Poe, maybe something that we could work on, all of us could work on it together, but creating an FAQ for the November election, so that we
Mhm.
can include anything that we're doing for November, anything that we approve through the vote of the commission, as well as anything else that they may need to know, excuse me, for November. If we could do an FAQ, I think that might be a really good thing to put on our website.
Absolutely.
What are your thoughts,
Yes,
Director
ma'am.
Love? Okay.
That's a wonderful idea. We could definitely have basically a November/COVID section of our website as for those, so that we can provide the best possible information to
I
our
like it.
voters.
Let's
Yeah,
do
and
it.
Bri-
Let's make it
And
happen.
Brian, even everything that we've learned through this Jacksonville election and the policies and procedures in place now, where you're offering masks to the voters, and if they opt to wear a mask, they go in one room. If they don't, they go to another room, and that everyone is given a pen, and that that pen is theirs to keep, and then they're using a pencil eraser or a Q-tip or whatever it is you're using to push on the touch screen, and that everything's being sanitized. I think include all that in there so they understand the steps from start to finish when they go vote, to kind of alleviate any fears they may have.
And Director Poe, if you could do something that's going to help, as I think visuals, there's a lot of us that are visual learners and kind of kinesthetic learners that need to kind of walk things through. For the runoff, if we haven't already, if you could particularly take pictures of every step of using the pencil eraser or a Q-tip, showing, here's a picture, this is what it looks like when they're wiping down the machine, this is how it looks like to clean, here's a stack of masks that if you want, here's the stuff, so we can have a visual to go with that. So it'll be very clear what we're doing. This is what we had, this is what we did for Jacksonville, here's what we're kind of going forward, here's what we're planning on. I think that'd be very helpful.
So basically a tutorial that with steps, the steps that are taken, the steps that are the voters will be using, and save that to a PDF, and we can post that on the social media. And I also want to make sure, I read an article where there was some discussion about not requiring voters to wear a mask, and I feel like that's going to be addressed in that FAQ as well, because elections are supposed to be free. So we're putting a requirement like that on voters is just not something that we felt comfortable doing, and make sure that's clarified as well. But we do strongly suggest it.
And that's what we're doing. Nobody's required to wear a mask. We just have it on offer if people want it.
All right, thank you.
I like it. Okay, good. Okay, going back to.
I love the idea of the walkthrough step by step with the visuals, and then the FAQ at the end. I think that will be just what the voters would love to see coming from us.
Absolutely. Okay, looking at our agenda, is that it? Have we covered our, Mr. Poe, have we left anything out from our agenda? Let me pull this back up for the.
That's all I have for now.
What I have too.
Fill you in on a couple of other things. We're almost finished with our site survey with the Wi-Fi hotspots for the poll books.
Oh, good.
Whenever that's complete, I'm going to integrate that into our vote center plan, and then I'll go ahead and get you the draft on that.
Okay. We can, I guess we got, and plan, just looking, as we're looking ahead for November and beyond, let's plan to go back to the quorum court, or, it's budget, end of the year, it's gonna be budget again. And this is the good time to say, if we need more money, if we need more equipment. I know, our budget was what our budget was. We're able to get poll books. Well, maybe this next year, we can look to get something else for our people of Pulaski County, and kind of take another step going forward to make voting easier and free and fair and quick. I'm concerned about long lines if we don't have enough equipment. So I want the commissioners to keep that in the back of your mind. It's not too early to start thinking about the budget. And Mr. Poe, if you could this week, let's see, what is it? It's Wednesday. If you're able to, before the next time we meet, just give us a kind of rundown of our budget, because we're halfway through the year. How much have we spent, and where we are, if we need to, if there's new supplies that we're going to need for November, this is a time to think about that. And if we need to ask for money, we need to go to the quorum court sooner rather than later. So just if you could kind of give us another update on how we're doing on the budget, just so the commissioners can stay informed and we can start thinking about the future and where we need to go from here and what the people need here in Pulaski County.
Director Poe, do we have any more information on, well, first, if we have enough equipment, but if we're to expand early voting sites for November, have we come up with any sites in West Little Rock or other locations that are underserved?
We're looking at approaching a church in West Little Rock that we previously discussed. We were giving it a little bit of time to see where we were in terms of like the COVID spread, and we're planning to approach them in July about getting that particular facility added. In addition to that,
What facility?
and like the Emmanuel Baptist City Center, I believe.
Yeah, the city center.
Oh,
on
yes.
Rutherford.
Are they finally done with construction?
Yes, they're done with construction. They're holding, actually holding services in there so they can social distance as well
Okay,
as
good.
having other meetings. So it's an excellent site, but if we can expand our early voting sites for November, I think that would be great. But I just want to make sure we have the equipment to do so.
Mhm.
We should have enough equipment to expand early voting. Basically, it just involves shuffling machines from one location to another. And I think that we could support more sites, if anybody's interested. But to be honest with y'all, I'm concerned with being able to retain the sites that we have now.
Mhm.
Because we've been kind of taking a wait and see approach. So at the beginning of July, we're going to send out a survey to all of our polling sites, a formal survey with regards to November and COVID. But we've been kind of, going out and doing our hotspot checks. And in the course of talking to some of these sites, some of them they appear to me to be quite reticent about November. So our goal is to survey them and try to get nailed down who is in there solidly, who will be open for us on November 3rd and who's wavering,
Okay.
so that we can incorporate that into our planning. In
Well,
addition,
Go ahead. Continue on.
I was just going to say, in addition to that, we're going to also, at the beginning of July, we're going to send out a survey to everybody on our roster for as far as poll workers go. So we've already had people calling us, as of like today. We had one of our long-term groups of election officials that work out in West Little Rock that basically let us know that they're not going to work in November. And so we've been waiting this. We made a conscious decision to give this to kind of see how the COVID epidemic developed in Arkansas, so that people could start to make informed choices. And now that we're seeing kind of the direction that it's going in, we're going to contact everybody basically who's involved with the process, our polling locations and our election officials, and see who's going to be available to us in November, who's wavering, and who just outright doesn't want any part of it.
Okay. When you say we, who are you talking about? Are you saying you, or when you say
staff.
we, you and who?
The staff.
Okay. Okay. So as I know I discussed this with the staff, you and also with the staff earlier, and asked for this to be done. I'm glad it's getting done. Still waiting on about the Jacksonville election, about when poll workers were contacted and which ones were contacted. Haven't received that yet, Mr. Post. I'd like you to go ahead and get me that information as well as you're gathering information. And get that, not just to me, get that to all the commissioners so we can see what was actually done and how this was taking place, since it's
I can tell you,
statutory
right.
authority of the commissioners. And this is we need that information. So if you haven't done it already, and I don't think you have, because I don't recall seeing it, go ahead and get that done for our next meeting.
Okay, well, I can tell you what was, I mean, we followed our
I
standard
want it
procedure.
in writing. I want the dates and which poll workers were contacted, when, what was the response. Also, Mr. Poe, I've got one more thing for you. So we can discuss that. We can go ahead and continue that discussion at the next meeting. What happened with our issue from February? What's happened with that? With the
Well,
voter fraud?
I wrote a memo to the prosecutor, submitted it to you all, and nothing has happened since then.
When did you submit it? When did you submit it to us?
It was a memo to the prosecutor. You had told me that you did not want me to put my name on it. You wanted to put y'all's names on it. And then basically after that, the whole COVID thing hit. If you'd like, I could resend it.
Yeah, so you did not submit it to we have not submitted anything to the prosecutor's office?
No.
Is what you're telling me? Yes, send what you have and include, I believe you were told to include witnesses and information for witnesses. Did you do that after you were asked to do that?
We have the list of the workers that were working at the location.
But you have not contacted any of them. You have not gotten any witness statements that you're asked to do. Is that what you're telling me?
No. Well, number one, we haven't been able to bring anybody into the office since then. But beyond that, we don't do affidavits in this office. This is an election office, and the purpose of this office is to conduct elections, not conduct an investigation. That is the role of the prosecutor. And I would be sure.
Mr. Poe, we are done. I need you to please send that to the commissioners, put that on the agenda for this next meeting, and have everything prepared to send to the prosecutor. There's no further discussion necessary from you.
Absolutely.
Commissioners, is there anything else that we need to discuss? Mr. Poe, we're done. Commissioners, is there anything else we need to discuss at this time?
I think it would be a good idea for Director Poe to actually reach out to the prosecuting attorney and ask him what is needed from us. And if he could give us a little checklist of items, then I think that would make it go a little easier.
Sounds good. Mr. Poe, please have that ready by our next meeting.
Yep, that was exactly what I was going to say. Reach out to the prosecutor's office and see what next steps are required so we can make sure we handle this according to their proper policies and procedures. So
Okay.
I agree.
Thank you.
Commissioners, anything else for the good of the commission at this time?
Yeah, I have one thing to say to kind of back up to what we were before when we were talking about the polling locations, if I may briefly.
Go ahead.
And I appreciate you, Brian, reaching out to all the polling locations and getting that check on them, the temperature check, which is kind of a pun, temperature check on how they're doing. But making sure we alleviate any concerns they may have and let them know that we do have PPE, we do have policies and protocols in place, to make sure that this process is safe for poll workers, for voters, and for any staff that they may have, and for their venue or location as well. So thank you for doing that. And then I think also on the side of the commissioners and also the staff, we can definitely make sure that we are actively trying to recruit poll workers. I know I've reached out to several groups of young people who've asked me how they could be involved. And I was like, we would love to have some younger poll workers that are from a generation that's not as vulnerable to this virus. So I think that's something we could also definitely do, is make sure we have enough poll workers in November is by reaching out to some of these younger groups. And that's all.
I'm sorry to piggytail off that. I know that a lot of places use Handshake to advertise things like jobs as well as internships. And Handshake goes out to all the universities and colleges in the state. And that's how students find out about information. We may want to look at creating a Handshake account. It's free. And see if we could post poll worker jobs, volunteer work basically on Handshake for students. And that might be a good way to get the information out there faster.
Absolutely.
Agreed. Look into that.
Commissioner Starr,
Yes.
if I may reveal my ignorance, what is Handshake?
Handshake is, it is a kind of a job site that is for academia. And every state utilizes it. Most of the universities in Arkansas utilize it. And students basically go into that site to find anything that's been posted. A lot of internships are on there, but just jobs in and around their communities. That's how they kind of interact. So it's free. It's handshake. I think it's handshake.com. You can just sign up under the commission, the Pulaski County Election Commission, create an account, and we could be looking for poll workers. So when you get on there, you could advertise basically for, the same thing that's actually on our website, the same information that's in there. You could just basically paste that information into the site, as well as a link to the brochure. And then when you push that out, then you have to add universities to your list so that they'll approve your job posting, and then they'll send out to all their students and staff. So it's a much quicker way to get to everyone at one time without having to go and try to talk to everyone when no one's really around right now because of COVID.
Absolutely. And one more thing to add. I mean, a lot of students I know they're not sure what's going to happen in the fall. They may be going to school remotely again. And I've had quite a few just anecdotally reach out to me asking me about any opportunities they could have to help. And I've been sending them to Sean and giving them the information from our website. But I agree, if we can pump that information out through social media or whatever other vehicles we can use, I think that would be very effective in getting the word out about poll workers in the fall to these young people.
And I know I brought it up. I'm sorry, Commissioner Price.
No,
I
go
know
ahead.
I brought it up a while ago, but since we're looking at the budget at the next meeting, if we could look at how much money we might have to spend for promotion on Twitter and on Facebook, it's very inexpensive. But if we could promote poll workers, promote filling those poll worker positions, I think that would be a good use of dollars in the long run. So, and that's something that we could just be doing all the way through the end of the year.
Absolutely. And even $50 or $100 on Facebook, a boost
Absolutely.
post can go a long, long way.
Yep. Join www.joinhandshake.com to set up the account.
Thank you.
I like it. Yes, all of that. All right. So, Mr. Poe, and then Mr. Poe, just remember before you send out a meeting agenda, if you could please send it to me, or you can send it to all the commissioners before it goes live, because there's sometimes things that are missing that we've been asked to put on the agenda that don't get printed on there. So before you make the agenda live and you send it to everybody, could you send it at least a day ahead of time to at minimum me, but you can send it to all the commissioners because we can all give feedback. If there's anything missing or needs to be put on the agenda, we'll have time to do that before it gets sent out to everyone. And then if there has to be changes, there's multiple emails. So please also get that for this next meeting and forward. That's it. That's all I have.
I'll have Mr. Camp do that.
You can't do that?
I will have Mr. Camp do that.
Oh, Mr. Camp do that. Okay.
He's the one that prepares the agenda and sends it out.
Okay. Well, good. Have Mr. Camp do that at least a day before the meeting, since it's the commission who sets the agenda. And I have noticed there have been multiple things in recent meetings. There are multiple things that didn't make it to the agenda that were asked to be on there. So just need to check that to make sure everything is accurate. All right. Anything else for the good of the commission from the commissioners before we conclude?
I have nothing.
Okay. And is election not going to be our next meeting? Do we have anything before that? The 7th, is that? I don't have my calendar open from me, but is the 7th our next meeting?
July 7th is the next scheduled meeting.
All right. And what time did we say? 8:30?
8:30.
Is that going to work still? Okay. Well, at this time, this meeting will conclude. Our next scheduled meeting will be July 7th, which will be the night of the runoff for the Jacksonville special election, and we will commence at 8:30 p.m. All right, everyone.
Thank
Be
you.
safe. All right. Thank you.
Everyone, thank you.
Thank you.
So we are adjourned.